Well, I would start off by saying that I did most of the presentation myself, so any errors are mine. Anything I got right, the staff will say I had the good sense to listen to them as they gave kind advice. What I wanted to do first, because I usually forget these things, is I'd like to recognize that our city manager is moving on to the city of Bloomington. We think, well, it's okay to go second place, but we know that there's many things there that Bloomington offers, and I'm very respectful of the fact that a 5-minute commute from home is something that you can't replace. Time with kids, that's something you can't buy. And I just want to thank our city manager as he departs this month that for his hard work. Many of the things that we are doing, the success I'm going to talk about, he has been a driving force. I'd like to ask Jamie if he could please stand and just be recognized. Notice I didn't give him the mic, so.
We'll talk about that later.
This way. So I think the first thing we've done is a bit of a rebranding. And I like to say this first, the logo is free because KSTP, after their first hatchet job on our rebranding, I've been very careful because they'd love to talk about spending money on a new logo. What we did as a city is decided that what we were portraying ourselves as, we were not, your brand is yours. If you don't manage it, other people will. And so we took a process to engage with our residents inside our community, people outside, and we partnered up with Spawn, who is a top flight marketing company, irreplaceable knowledge of the market, and went out and they interviewed lots of people and kind of got some feedback. What do people really think? Not just electeds, not just the staff, but residents, business owners, people outside the community, people looking to come inside, and really tried to take a look at how do we brand ourselves. And the phrasing, unique, united, undiscovered, that is our brand. We wanted a brand that was built on facts and aspirations, not in illusions and misdirection. In other words, we're not going to say we're not something, and we're not. And that was very much what the community wanted to do. And so as we're going to start to roll this out, you'll start to see other ways that where does our branding appear? We're working on that right now. I wish we had left the water tower up here because it's in the backyard of the city councilors just hated that. But there's many ways to brand that. And so you're gonna hear more. And tonight's just the first step, but you will start to see this become part of how we identify ourselves and keep that idea so people will see the symbols and start to recognize the city. Economic development, I think that I like to get into the B words, the billion words, so I was really reaching, so once I could get to a half, that was close enough. And so, we talk about investment in our city by private people deciding that our city is the right place to be. And so we're very appreciative of that decision. That comes with hard work by the staff. It comes with people who, in our community, who've, been talking us up. And I think that, the residents of Brooklyn Park have been very forthright in wanting to be better and help put some economic tools in our pockets that we could use. And so for them, we have to also thank. We have a number of businesses that will be opening up. I think I just tell people just drive down 610, take a left 169 and go down 81, and you will see a lot of economic activity. You will see buildings going up. You'll see buildings that don't have names on them because there's a lot of spec buildings. And that's probably our favorite type of building because that's confidence by other people in what's going on in our city. They don't have a tenant. They're putting up an empty building based on the idea that they believe in our city enough that they're going to spend millions of dollars and hope that someone's going to come here. So we know that's important when people do that, and we appreciate that. And that's it for today. No. Try it again. There we go. And I want to stress, 610 is great, right? Lots of activity there. You can drive, you can see it. I don't need to tell people, I just say drive it. But it's happening in other parts of the city. We have 3 investment buildings on Highway 81. We have buildings in the south part. We have CarMax that will be coming online this summer, providing jobs, a partnership with Edinburgh Technical College. And so it's not just the new shiny 610 and that open land, but people are looking elsewhere in the city to be because I think they believe that things are happening here. I would like to mention our partnership with North Hennepin, Hennepin Technical College, and Rasmussen. If there's anybody here, if you'd raise your hands, I know there's a couple. Just the idea that we've had so many conversations with businesses when we're in these national fights for businesses to decide if they're going to move here. They ask, what is the opportunities for us to train employees, retrain, where are we going to get our future workers? And it's important that we have our education facilities there right with it. And they've been in meetings with our prospective, telling them that they can do things. Baxter's a great example of that they specifically required. We had to provide them with a plan of how could their workers be trained. And we couldn't do it without the colleges. And so I just want to thank them. They are an economic development tool of our city. And I think that you're sitting in one, the golf course, right? That for many years has been kind of a jewel, and frankly, the luster kind of came off. The ring hadn't been cleaned for a while. We invested, I believe, near $2 million in the golf course to do many things that need to be done. That's just what's happening out in the greens, the fairways. And so we think that is part of it. We're not done. We've got some more work to do. We're going to revamp about how we things. We look forward to working with Lancer on some of those plans. But we look at that as a tool to drive development. We look at that as a symbol of what people might come for. And so there's more things happening. Transportation. I have a feeling this year you're going to hear the words Brooklyn Park and LRT often in the news. It's not always going to be calm. It's not always going to be nice, easy conversations, but there will be conversations, there will be arguments, there'll be all kinds of stuff, but we're going to have those discussions. So this year we've had 10 years of plans by the city to say that we want LRT to come through Brooklyn Park. And so this is the year where the rubber meets the road, and some of those decisions about homes, where people's homes need to be acquired, really get to be personal, and those things, decisions are going to be revisited, and we're going to have that discussion. And I would challenge everybody in this room who believes that light rail has been a future plan for not just us, but for Osseo, Maple Grove, Brooklyn Center. It's a development tool for the Northwest, that you stand up and speak your mind. Because I know that we will have a good decision if the maximum amount of people step up, let us know what can this do for us. And there'll be lots of facts, that we know about, that cities who get light rail versus those that don't, the economic, over time, the valuations of their cities. Mayor Wilson talked about how their value is up. As mayors, that's the biggest thing we care about, is the values of our properties going up, because that is vitality, that sets a good tax base, and that sets us up for the future. Also, I have a feeling that Mayor Stephenson is going to talk about some little road called 610, so I'll leave that one for him. We did open up a park ride, and we're going to look at the other one with the light rail. I think one thing that, I talked about the development, we have a proposal that'll be back up in a month for a $80 million apartment building. The rents are more than mortgages. It is not your normal apartment building. And the reason the developer is looking at building it is because it sits at the end of the light rail. If that light rail wasn't there, the builder simply wouldn't be there. And so when people talk about why do people make investment decisions in communities, things like these can drive those decisions. We also know there are other people looking at similar. And I'll tell a simple story that I use to demonstrate why is starting off with a good luxury apartment building the key. If you drive down the road and you see a kid selling oranges, he sets it for $2. What do you think the next kid who opens up the stand is going to set his prices at? Maybe $1.95, maybe $2.05 because he's got better oranges, but it's still $2. So if we set that bar high in 610, we get apartments that are a little better. We think the ones that will follow have got a bar to meet, and we think that means that the city's got to look at investing city investment dollars into that. So we're going to have that discussion at the county level. I'd like to thank Mayor Wilson for saving me some time talking about the Brooklyn Bridge Alliance. I would like to have the executive director, the mama bear, Rebecca Gilligan, please stand up. Yep. She was instrumental in getting that grant. You talk about what people do, and I think everybody on the board, advisory board, knows that Rebecca really led the charge. This will be the last time you see the word juvenile crime on the same slide as youth development, because in our city we now know that we've started to provide safety. We provide ways for kids who don't maybe have some risky family situations that they can get involved with something that gives them an opportunity. Now we need to make that link with, okay, now you've said, I'm going to commit to education, I'm going to commit to maybe doing good choices. How do I get a job? And so the gentleman from CityLink, wherever you sat down, I would love for you to talk to Rebecca, who just stood up, because we are looking for ways for kids to, even for 8 to 10 hours, shadow. A 16-year-old has no idea what a job is like. And for them to just shadow for a few hours to understand, hey, there's something, I could do this. I mean, I've got to go to school, I've got to do some things, but just that idea that there's something waiting for them provides them with hope. And so that's what we're hoping to do, is not provide full-time or part-time jobs, but just introduce a kid who maybe doesn't see that in his family or his neighbors, the idea that he has value in that. So I would love for that, because any other business owner who wants to just say, hey, for a few hours, let a kid see what someone does. And those kind of things is what we're looking for as partners in our community. The idea that kids, you keep them in school, they don't see jobs at the end of that, they don't really care. Hope is not just about safety, it has to be about something in the future that they're going to work for. And so we've taken that tact on. So like I said, this is the last time we're going to talk about crime and juveniles, because we've done that. We know we have more work to do, but now we need to talk about hope. And that's going to happen with the work of Rebecca, hopefully some partners in the community who want to at least say, hey, let's give a kid a chance to at least see what work is like. And maybe you might meet one of your future employees that you want to hire someday. I think this one has been kind of our favorite, my favorite. In about 4 weeks, we'll be opening up the teen homeless shelter. And if anybody wants to understand why does a few weeks of delay mean a lot in the summer, what was the weather like a month ago versus what it's like right now? 1 month means a lot. When you're talking about giving kids 10 to 12 beds to sleep at safely at night in a warm spot, I think we all can understand as we run out to our cars and hope that they start and the heater gets going, that what does that simple thing mean? And so that'll be opening up, and I want to thank everyone, because frankly, it wasn't a city initiative. The city's Brooklyn Center, Osseo churches, and Maple Grove and Osseo stepped up to the plate. Brooklyn Center was a partner. New Hope was a partner. The county, I can't think of anybody who wasn't involved. I think every church in the city of Brooklyn Park was engaged about raising money, committed now to not just to the first year, but all the other years, because it's important. The school district plays a role with identifying those kids. We know that those kids are going to be found in schools during the day because it's warm, it's safe, they get fed there, and so that's the place that we need to capture them and get those into a safe spot. Lastly, I'll just mention these last two things, which is that we did went through a process of naming our neighborhoods. You will see more about that. We're just kind of developing that idea of identity, getting people an idea that where they live is important. We've seen some great designs I have on how we can take our new branding and apply that. The other one is Cities United, which you'll see probably in about 3 months. Brooklyn Park is proud to be one of the initial 20 cities to be involved with that, but that's the idea that violence tends to really affect youth of color, males, who tend to not see any examples of how they could be in life, and so they tend to get involved with negative activities. And so we're going to try to see what we can do as a city to identify small steps that we can do. This is a national effort. Brooklyn Park is helping to lead that by taking part, working with the White House every other Friday. We report in what we're doing to them, and so they're kind of keeping track. But you'll start to hear more about that as we go forward. I think that's it.